want to hear commentary? Do you want to hear some of the best opinions and perspectives on information? Then what you need to tune to is Robert Noer of Normal America. Normal America is a play on words, but he doesn't play with you when it comes to his hard-hitting in your face, sometimes a little bit loud and gruff.
So, we need to wiretap. They left out. Oh, and he said our case is garbage. They again did the exact opposite of the truth. Again.
And other times, a little softer.
Charities of the groups that are sending that money. So, for example, there's been reports, and I haven't...
There's softer sides to Rob, and there's more up in your face. Which one are you going to get? Do you want to listen to somebody who's a little more abnormally smart than you? Do you wish you lived in a normal America? Well, then you need to check out Robert Noer. Noer of Normal America. Check him out today, guys. You won't be disappointed.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to take these headphones off for now. I'm not doing calls right now, so thank you for being here. So let me lay a few ground rules for this live stream. First, I'm back home, so if there's any audio issues, just let me know. Secondly, I don't have those terrible curtains behind me, so people could stop giving me grief about my curtains. I'm finally back home. The other thing is, my wife gets off work at some point. I will be immediately ending the live stream because I haven't seen her for a while, so it'd be nice to spend some time with her. No volume, you say? Okay. Check. Volume's not coming through. It shows it is. If anyone can hear me, let me know. Can you hear me? It claims that the volume should be coming through. So before I keep ranting, I'll make sure. Okay. Lies! People are lying to me. How you doing, DJ Cool? I heard you're not feeling so well. I hope you're feeling better. You can see I'm still getting over being sick here, but... So yeah, just the ground rules here. When my wife gets home, I gots to go, or I'll be in the doghouse. So I'll probably end around 4:15, 4:30, depending on what time she gets home. So yeah, just impromptu. I'm off work, excited, nothing to do. I can up my volume a little. There you go. Hopefully that's a little better. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Trump's victory speech. There's actually a lot of good stuff to talk about. There's also some CNN fact-checking I'm going to get to, which I thought was quite humorous. But yeah, I was at work. I finally got off work, got to hear Trump's victory speech, and that's what it was. It was a celebration. I thought it was phenomenal. My hope is that Trump becomes this person even more than he already was, right? Like, profanity alert coming up. I'm not one to swear a lot in this show, but, I mean... He's absolutely right. He's like, this was bullshit. He's absolutely right. That's exactly how he should be talking. We're tired of it. The American people are tired of it. People in the middle are getting tired of it. Moderates that didn't even like Trump. They could see the corruption. He needs to start throwing these criminals in jail. Adam Schiff needs to be brought up on charges. Both ethics violations and potential crimes he had in the conjunction with the intel agents and their spying in the coup against Trump. He's right to call him out. He's right to call Pelosi out for the sham that she is. All of it was spot on. Absolutely right. It was a little long. Giving ovations to everyone. But Pat, yeah, you're right. It was hilarious. It was funny. It was himself. Look at the difference between Trump and Pelosi. That's all you need to know. What's the one thing that's the biggest difference between them? Sorry, my voice is scratchy. It's authenticity. It's everything in life. I hope that that's the one thing. I might not be the most handsome person or the greatest sounding or the smartest, but at least I hope you know when you tune into me, you're getting my authentic thoughts. I am who I am. You see me in real life, I act like this. You see me on YouTube, you see me on DLive, wherever, I act like this. You see me when I'm running for Congress, I am who I am. That's Donald Trump. Now, you might not like it, you might not like his character, But he is who he is. Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer and Warren, all fake. All as fake as could be. I said it about the Nancy Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union address. Look, it's childish. It's technically a crime, probably. But actually, that doesn't bother me as much as the fact that she's a phony about it. If she was just like Trump and was like, yeah, I hate the bastard. I hate Trump. I'm not going to sit and listen to his speech. I'm going to rip it up. I'd be like, that's childish. It's crap. I still dislike her. But at least she's authentic. Instead, she says, oh, I'm praying for him. I'm praying. It's a dark day. Oh, it's dark. Remember, it's a dark day. It's a dark day, but I'm so solemn. We're so civilized. We're trying to unite people. I don't hate anyone. Remember, she couldn't bring herself to say she hates like Baghdadi or ISIS or MS-13. She can't. She doesn't. She's a Catholic. She doesn't have hate in her heart. And then she's ripping up speeches at the State of the Union. Yeah, Alan. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about Trump. Even if you hate him, he's not fake. Yeah, she did tear up government documents. I get you 223, but they're not going to do anything. Matt Gaetz actually pushed for an investigation, but he's calling for censuring her, which is the highest you would get out of it, which she should be censured. I agree. But yeah, Pat, you're right. He was real today. The only thing I could liken it to what Trump, how he sounded today, the only other times that you see that is Trump, because he's real like that. And the only other person that I saw do this was Kavanaugh. That actually, when I watched Kavanaugh finally get to testify, I actually was crying. Because here's a man whose life was being totally ruined. They were writing articles, for God's sake, saying he shouldn't be allowed to coach his girls' basketball team. His young daughters forever will be ridiculed for their dad being a gang rapist. With no evidence whatsoever. And so when he stood up, he said, I don't care about the job. I don't care about trying to look good for the cameras. I'm a human being and I'm tired of this shit and these attacks against me. I use that word, that curse word, because that's how Trump phrased it today. Yeah, and swearing is normal. Sean, yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah, I say this all the time. There's a lot of people that legitimately don't like Trump's personality, and I could understand that totally. I really do. And there's even policies of Trump that I could see not wanting to vote for Trump. For example, deficit spending or bombing Syria. I'm against Trump on those types of things. I was. But what I keep telling Republicans and my Democrat friends, because this channel's for everyone, I try to reach out to all people. You'll never hear me mocking voters of Bernie or AOC or anyone. I don't go after normal Americans. I might say, I think you're making the wrong choice in how you're voting, but that's fine. That's humans. We should all disagree. That's great. But Sean, the point you make is exactly what I've been saying. The Democrats' insanity is costing them people like you. It's costing them people like Pat, who aren't traditional Trump supporters. They might not even like Trump. But what's the alternative? The constant coup that's going on against him? And so that's why it's incumbent on people like me that are Trump supporters to constantly remind everyone this isn't a left-right issue. It's establishment versus everyone else. If they could be this corrupt to Trump, they could do it to you or your candidate on the left. Ask Bernie how that's working with the Iowa caucus. What's up, Benny? Thanks for being here. But yeah, good for Trump for calling it out. Now, of course, predictably, I saw a little bit of the coverage from the mainstream media. What a dark, oh my goodness, it was dark for Trump to do this. He cursed, he swore. I'm so sick and tired of these faux double standard. These are people that without batting an eye will call all Trump supporters racist. They'll have guests on calling them 10-toothed. They'll support intel agencies that say they can smell Trump supporters in Walmart. They'll say all ICE agents are Nazis. They'll say Trump's a Nazi. Trump's a racist. Trump's a stooge of Putin. They'll say impeach the mother effer. All of that. They cheer for any of that hostility towards Trump. And make no mistake about it. Vulgarity, like if I called you a mother effer or an SOB, those might not be the most polite, civilized terms. But that's less damaging than legitimately claiming you're a Nazi or you're a racist. And they do that to Trump constantly. And they engage in the vulgarities as well. You don't get to criticize what you consider childish insults if then you just engage in childish insults constantly. You don't hear Trump saying, oh, I got called a bad name. But that's what the left does. That's what the establishment Democrats do. So, oh, his speech was dark. Good. It should be dark. You know what's dark? Here's what's dark. Our intel agencies operating under Barack Obama, the most powerful intel agencies in the history of the world, corruptly and treasonously trying to overthrow the President of the United States. That's dark. The fact that our media worked in tangent with those intel agents and smeared these lies for over 3 years. That's dark. See, that's what the Democrats want to do. They want to knife you in the back, and that's okay. It's okay for them to sucker punch you, to ruin your life, to smear you with innuendo, to do anything they can to go after you. But then as soon as you defend yourself, oh, that's dark. Can you believe he suggested that? Oh, how dark is that? It's ridiculous. Now, I was writing about this. I should have brought it up. I didn't have time because I just got off work and did this. I wrote on Above Top Secret in the 2016 conventions. The media narrative coming out of the conventions was the Republican convention was dark and ominous and painted a bleak future of the United States. But the Democrat convention was upbeat and bright. And that's just not true. The truth is, every convention says, if you elect my opponent, things will go bad. My opponent will do a bad job. It's what the Democrats did. It's what the Republicans did. I wouldn't expect anything else. Like, right? Of course. How with a straight face can the media and the Democrats say what Trump says is dark? Meanwhile, they're saying, if we don't get rid of Trump, he'll sell Alaska to Russia. He'll put everyone in cages. He'll lock up all gay people. He'll kick all brown people out of the country. That's not dark. That they claim that's not dark. Oh no, that's bright and upbeat. That's them engaging in being positive somehow. But Trump saying correctly for 3 years, the intel agents are corrupt coming after me. Oh, that's dark. How dare he say that? And then they'll say, oh, by the way, ICE agents are all Nazis. ICE detention centers are concentration camps. That's not dark. That's positive. Yeah, Ziggy, absolutely. That's the word, realist. What sets apart the people in life that you respect or that you're interested in, even if you don't like them, but you want to hear what they say? It's authenticity. It's being real, not being fake. You know, I talked about this the other day. I work in the home healthcare field. I work with people with disabilities, a lot of people with autism and things like that. It is incredible. One of the things that inspires me the most about the people I work with is how intuitively they can tell if you're being fake. It's an amazing skill. And many of them are great at it. You go in and you start acting like someone you're not, they'll pick up on it like that. There's something in us. We want, even if you disagree with someone, you want to know, hey, at least they're presenting them real selves to me. Someone acting fake to you is one of the, it just grates on you. You know, I go back to this. Scott Adams, you should check out his YouTube channel, his podcast. He's the guy that writes Dilbert. Fantastic thinker. Really great guy. I've watched his show on YouTube 2-3 dozen times. I never heard the man swear. Until the impeachment debacle. When Nancy and them came out that day and said, it's a solemn day, when the House voted to impeach. I bet he dropped the F word 30 times on that show. And his point was, I don't care that they're impeaching. That's fine. It's political gamesmanship. But what infuriates me is the fakeness of it. Just come out and say, yeah, the guy's horrible for the country. We want him out. Don't say, oh, we're praying for him. Because what that does is it lets you know this is all garbage. Or in the words of Donald Trump, bullshit. And by the way, his cursing and his talking like that, there is a certain elitism that makes the corrupt establishment dislike that. They don't like average Americans. They don't like normal Americans. So much so that they even talk different than us. So just that, it grates on, oh, this guy's talking like a commoner. President of the United States talking like a normal person. We don't like that. Is anyone having, sorry about that, John. Is anyone having buffering issues? Let me know in the chat if you can, if people are having buffering issues. Right, and Pat, I agree with you. Obama spoke well, and by the way, if you've followed me for long enough, when I think someone on the other side does something good or is skilled at something, I'll give credit to that. Obama was a very eloquent speaker. Heck, Michelle is a very eloquent speaker. Okay, good, no buffering. And that, in some formats, that fits. In some formats, that's what you want, an eloquent speaker. But look at the situations with Trump and with Kavanaugh. They're personally attacking the guy. They're basically accusing them of crimes that they could spend the rest of their life in prison for. And it's all lies. Their families are being attacked. 24/7, the media goes after it. The very law enforcement people that are supposed to investigate crimes and protect people from having this happen to them are the ones leading the charge. Now, how would you act if someone did that to you? If you're being framed with a crime and your local media is accusing you of that crime every day and people are accusing your family of stuff, how would you feel? Would you come out and say, these charges are deeply regrettable, but we'll try to have our day in court and thank you very much? Or would you say, this is bullshit? That's what Trump said, and Trump was right. The same, and he called it out. He called out Schiff. He called out the Russia collusion hoax. That's what it was. I saw a little bit of the Five yesterday. Greg Gutfeld, I like. The rest, take or leave. But Juan Williams, which I'm glad everyone's like, get Juan off the Five. No, leave him on. It's good to have disagreement, and it's great to see how ridiculously dumb the arguments from the left on this are. The establishment left. He said, oh, Trump said that the Mueller thing had proved his innocence, but it was damning for him. No, it wasn't. It exonerated him on the underlying crime of illegally doing things with Russians. Take Juan Williams or Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, any one of these people. Raid their lawyer's office in the middle of the night. Have the media smear them for 3 years. Have investigations demanding every single piece of transmission they had, whether it be phone, email, letters, whatever, be subpoenaed. Constantly under surveillance. Being wiretapped. People connected to you being wiretapped. Right? All of that. And then see if they don't complain about the investigation. Now, the investigation ends and it exonerates Schiff or Williams, Juan Williams, or whoever of the underlying crime. But it says, Juan Williams didn't commit the underlying crime, but he did complain about the investigation, so therefore he's guilty of that. Are you kidding me? That, by the way, was also very similar to what they called the second article of impeachment, obstruction of Congress. These obstruction charges are ridiculous. The investigators were corrupt. They tried to frame Donald Trump. If your local cops pull you over and they plant cocaine in the back of your car, and then you say, this is garbage, I'm being framed, I want different people to run this investigation. And it comes out, yep, the cops did plant the cocaine, but guess what? You complained about it. Therefore, you're guilty of obstruction of justice. That's how ridiculous the Democrats' argument is against Trump. Oh, it's a crime. It's obstruction for him to complain. It's very dark for him to complain. Are you kidding me? Trump was absolutely right. If this happened to Obama, there'd be people in jail for life right now. The media would have went nuts. George Bush's administration had his FBI illegally spy on Obama. There'd have been riots in the streets. No one would have been saying, well, Obama criticizing the FBI for doing that. That's really dark of Obama. That's a dark thing. I mean, it's absolute insanity. I don't know how else to put it. So good for Trump for talking like a real person. Here's my hope. If you heard me in my live stream last night, I'm hoping that Trump, if he wins in 2020, which it looks like he will, but remember, always be vigilant. Never underestimate the corruption of the establishment. The amount of scandals they'll try to throw at Trump leading up to the election. I look for the Fed to try to purposely crash the economy. I look for people to come out of the woodwork saying Trump sexually assaulted them. There'll be all kinds of leaks from the intel community and Trump's State Department saying he did bad things. Heck, they're already still continuing to subpoena Bolton and start impeachment proceedings over again. So don't get overconfident. It's up to every one of us to remain vigilant against this corruption. Even if you're not voting for Trump. You have to be vigilant against this corruption. But if Trump wins, I hope that he stops listening to the corrupt people around him, the John Boltons, which thank God he fired him. But even in the non-corrupt, his advisors would tell him, oh, Mr. Trump, don't talk like this. Don't talk like that. Be conciliatory towards the Democrats. Be polite to them. Those days are done. Trust your gut, Trump. Pull out of Afghanistan like you want. Publicly talk about the corruption. Yes, Joe and Hunter Biden are corrupt. Yes, it should be investigated. Yes, Hillary was corrupt. Yes, the intel people that investigated her were corrupt. Yes, the intel people that lied and changed evidence to smear Trump and spy on his campaign, they are corrupt. And they all need to go to prison. Or at least be charged. Leave them have their day in court, but at least charge them with the crime. I'm tired of this. Well, the country needs to move on. Ridiculous. The number one issue right now in our country is the corruption at the intel agencies, is the corruption at the head of the DNC. And even the corruption in the establishment in the Republican Party, people like Romney. Until that's solved, nothing else matters. So kudos to Trump. He's absolutely right. Even if you don't think all of his policies are great, he's gone on working. He's gone on trying to pass his agenda, being stymied at every corner by the media, by academia, by the entertainment industry, by Silicon Valley, by the FBI, by the CIA, by the former heads of those agencies, and by the entire DNC. Every single day, doing nothing except #resist. Spreading lies and innuendo constantly, never apologizing for their lies, claiming to be morally superior, claiming that any criticism of them is somehow immoral, but they could say anything they want about you or Trump or any of his supporters. Enough's enough. Now, I got good friends on here, Sean, Pat. These aren't right-wing people, left-wing people. You don't have to like Trump. Maybe you don't even want to vote for Trump. But it's more than just one man. It's more than just Trump. We can't continue to live in a country like this. It won't work. So you should at least support, even if you don't support the USMCA or you don't support Trump's tax cuts, right? That's fine. We can have fair debates about all that. You think that the Republicans or Trump's healthcare plan's bad. Fair enough. We can have a fair debate about that. I'm willing to listen to people on the other side. I really am. But at least support the fact that Trump is standing up against these corrupt people. And if Trump wins that battle against corruption, it's not Trump winning, that's our country winning. It wasn't that Trump was acquitted, that it was a victory for Trump. It was that the country got a victory. A small one, a brief one. The coup attempt will continue unabated starting today. But wouldn't it be nice, my left-wing friends, wouldn't it be nice to actually turn on the news and hear news? To hear people that are trying to be objective? instead of just corrupt mouthpieces for the intel agencies. They don't even hide it anymore. They hire John Brennan. They hire Clapper. They hire Comey. They're not even pretending. And if you're on the right and you are a Trump supporter, you should be reaching out to our allies that are moderates or on the left. You should be. Like I said, you might disagree with economic policy, all sorts of policies. But ending the corruption is first and foremost right now. So not only does that mean reaching across the aisle, which I'm happy to do. I have plenty of left-wing friends. You're always welcome here, even if you're on the left. But it's more than just reaching across the aisle. It's also remembering it's not left-right. It's establishment versus non-establishment. And we need to hold the people accountable in the Republican Party that have allowed this coup to occur. Your Romneys, your Collins, your Murkowskis. And I don't care if some of them voted against removal at the end of the day. They wanted to vote to remove. Until we get these snakes out, nothing will change. How was that? Was it a good little rant? Okay. Trump's speech was awesome. Watch the whole thing. If he gave shout outs to everyone, if I had to give one shout out to the person that I think has been the best Trump supporter, it would be Devin Nunes. The guy had an ethics violation and investigation into him from a Republican-controlled House. Let me repeat that. The Republicans controlled the House and filed an ethics investigation against Devin Nunes for fighting the corruption and the coup attempt against Trump from the FBI. He got crap from his own party. He was maligned by every single media person, everyone in Hollywood, everyone in academia. All the Silicon Valley. He's corrupt. He's worthless. He's garbage. He's a liar. The Nunes memo's a lie. All the people that were, remember the Twitter hashtag released the memo? That was all Russian bots, they said. All of that was garbage. Schiff put out a counter memo. He had the access to the exact same information that Devin Nunes did. Nunes took all that crap, all the people that shaped the public narrative. He became public enemy number 2, only behind Trump. And he was right. He kept his chin up like a man, like a patriot, and he stuck to his guns. So not only was it appropriate for Trump to single him out and for him to get a standing ovation today, but if I was Trump, I'd privately be on the phone and say, thank you. Patriots like you that are fighting this corruption is what makes this worthwhile. So, all right, I'm done with that rant. So I have here a quarter. I don't know if you saw my video. The DNC was deciding delegates by coin flips. Now it doesn't matter, right? Because now they're going to redo the whole process. Bernie won, so got to scrap the whole process. Buttigieg paid for the app, then the app didn't work. The app was created by Robbie Mook, who was Hillary supporter, worked on Hillary's team. And then Buttigieg declared victory. And Buttigieg was winning these coin flips. And even though Bernie had the popular vote, Buttigieg got more delegates. And then it started to come out there were errors once it looked like Bernie was going to overtake him. Now Tom Perez from the DNC says, oh, we got to scrap it and do it all again. You see, just like Brexit, you have a vote, they don't like the results, do it again until the establishment wins. Don't get me wrong, I have no love for Bernie. Bernie's done his best to kiss the butt of the establishment ever since the 2016 election. He's trying real hard. He really likes his lake house. He loves supporting the FBI and the DNC and their corruption against Trump. He's one of the most vocal people leading that. But still, Bernie, you're not in the club. Just like I warned you, just like I warned all of his supporters. But if you saw my video, they flipped a coin at one point. Klobuchar and Buttigieg tied for some delegates. And yeah, you got to check out the video of that. But I'm going to reenact that. What I've been doing, I promise to do this on every live stream for a while. I figure that I can't figure out who the greatest independent content creator Heck, screw independent, just content creator out there is. On any platform. YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Twitter. No matter. Media at all. I figure either I'm the greatest or it's one of the millions of others. And so, if it's good enough to potentially decide the president of the United States, I figure a coin flip will be good enough to decide this. So I've been winning every day, but I am a fair person. Maybe someone overcame me. Maybe someone's better than me. Someone has a better channel than me. So, inspired by the DNC coin flip in Iowa, which go back and check my video out on it, I'm going to flip a coin. Heads is I'm the greatest content creator in the world ever. Tails is it's anyone else in history ever. So let's do this. Inspired by the DNC. Okay, there's a coin. I gotta, the camera's a little higher. Let me move the mic. Oh, it's heads. Yes. I did it again. Greatest channel. Greatest content provider ever. Here you are. 43 people watching. Thank you so much. Watching the greatest show. Now, you could also check out another one of my videos. You might then say, well, wait a minute. That's definitive. I mean, if the coin flip and that guy flipping the coin like that to get Buttigieg the delegates, if it's good enough to potentially decide the president of the United States, surely it's good enough in this field, right? But you might be saying, well, wait, that's proof. That's proof. I'm the greatest content provider. Why do I only have 43 people watching right now? Well, Sheila Jackson Lee, I took a lesson from the Democrats. I got tired of arguing against them, right? Sheila Jackson Lee said the entire Iowa stuff, it was because of the Russians. And I now realize that's who's keeping my content down. I'd probably have 5 million people watching right now. It's the Russians. Yeah, it's crazy. I know. I didn't think, my life has been so much easier once I realized I don't have to personally take blame for anything. Everything's the Russians' fault. I'm back in my home here. I like my house. I just bought it in June. I have what's called I don't know if you've heard of this, a mortgage payment. Yeah, I have to pay money every month to the bank that lent me money to buy this house. And I started to think, wait a minute, why should I have to pay money? It's because the Russians. The Russians are clearly the ones forcing the bank to take my money. Same with my electric bill. Must be the Russians. I mean, listen to Bernie. Having a home, right? Free food, free home, free electricity, free everything. Anyone who's making me pay is clearly a Russian. I have student loan debt. It's the Russians. I'm a fat guy. Why can't I exercise and eat healthier? It's the Russians. They must subliminally be messing with me. So, just so you know, only here will you get content like this. Great content. Greatest content provider, says the coin, just like the Iowa caucus. And any faults, the reason I don't have more followers, or anytime you think that there's a fault with me, it's the Russians. If you're not subscribed to me, you must be a Russian. So, if you don't support me on PayPal or Patreon, if you don't subscribe to my YouTube or Twitch or Twitter or DLive accounts, then Donald Trump's going to sell Russia to Alaska. I heard Adam Schiff say that. Adam Schiff's personally seen the evidence of that. So, it's up to you guys. If you want America to fall in the hands of the Russians, then, don't support me. The greatest content provider ever. So saith the coin. So, thanks for being here. Only here do you get great content like that. But I appreciate. By the way, just in case you're all wondering, oh yeah, convenient of Rob to say the coin thinks he's the greatest content provider. It also thinks you're the greatest audience too. So, and it doesn't lie. So each and every one of you, you're the greatest. And the other people next week or tomorrow that'll watch my show, they're not the greatest. It's just you that are in here right now. Those people are all terrible. I don't even care about them. Okay, let's get to some articles. So one of the things that I have a pet peeve about is the idea of fact checkers. If you call yourself a fact checker, you get this, all of a sudden you get some gravitas to you. Oh, well, fact checker said it, so it must be true. As if anyone can't just call themselves a fact checker. Now, I'll go through one of these days and I've gone through fact checking over and over on State of the Union speeches, on other speeches, on articles. And anytime someone says, oh, there's a fact checker, the fact checkers say, I went to factcheck.org and it says you're wrong. They're garbage. It's even worse to be a liar when you claim to be a fact checker. Like, I get that Republicans are going to say, we have the best economy ever. And then the Democrats are going to hash the numbers a little different and go, no, that's not true because of X, Y, and Z. You expect that. But when you say, I'm an objective fact checker, and then you blatantly lie, that's even worse. So in that spirit, let's hope this works. My audio's still working here? Yeah. So here's Jack Pasibi. I can't even pronounce his name. He's from OANN, American One News Network. AONN, maybe. Let's see what this says here. So CNN comes out today and says, fact check. President Trump falsely claims former FBI Director James Comey admitted to leaking. Oh, well, I guess Comey never admitted that. Now, I could show you clips of James Comey admitting just that. I could show you the IG report that criminally referred James Comey for prosecution for just that. But why do that when instead I could go to CNN, who says James Comey hoped leak would lead to special counsel on Russia. Let's see that again. You ready? President Trump falsely claims FBI Director Comey admitted to leaking. Comey hoped his leak would lead to special counsel on Russia. Huh. Isn't that odd? How could that be? Well, that's strange, isn't it? It's pretty bad when the same organization that claims to be fact-checking is disproved by themselves. Now, I read a bunch of fact-checkers about the State of the Union. Here's the reason. Nancy Pelosi, after she acted childish and tore it up, right? What was the reason that she gave? Do you know? She said that because it was filled with lies, she couldn't leave Trump lied to the American people. So what were the lies? And I've already gone through this. Was it a lie about that gentleman, Tony, who was addicted to drugs, got off them, and now is back with his family and ran a business? Is it a lie about the young man who wants to join the Space Force, whose grandpa is 100 years old and was honored for being a Tuskegee Airman? Was that a lie? Was the soldier that was reunited with his family, was that a lie? What part of it was lies? She doesn't say. She just says it's all lies. This is a common tactic that you see used on the establishment left, right? Everything's a lie. It's all been debunked. It's a conspiracy theory. I've gone through evidence over evidence on the impeachment scandal, the coup, about why there was reason to investigate, one, Ukrainian election interference, and second, Obama and Biden's quid pro quo to stop the prosecutor looking into Hunter Biden's company. I've gone through undisputed evidence that we have actual government documents for. And when I present it, like when I debated that YouTuber Destiny, you know what he says? Yeah, I heard this was all debunked. That's what Jake Tapper says, so it's good enough for him, right? It must be debunked. I'm not going to listen to you present actual evidence because it's already all been debunked. Really? Who's debunked it? It's just been debunked. Just like Nancy Pelosi. Trust me, the State of the Union was all lies. Did she cite one specific example? No. So I went to the fact checkers because the fact checkers were like, oh, it was all lies. Almost every quibble that the fact checkers had to do with the first 10 minutes of the speech where Trump's talking about the economy. They basically didn't say anything else, just that first 10 minutes. Now, here's the thing. One, just being as impartial as possible, and just to let you know, the economy is so convoluted that you can splice things in a million different ways to paint the picture you want. Even during an economic downturn, a recession, you could say, well, according to housing numbers when it comes to inner cities with people making less than 40,000, actually those numbers are up. So the economy's looking up for the most vulnerable people. It's like, I liken it to this. Did you ever watch the movie Major League? See, if you don't know, I've lived in rural Pennsylvania my whole life. I'm a big Pittsburgh sports fan. My favorite sport's baseball, though. Let me grab a drink here. And I'm a lifelong Pittsburgh Pirate fan. I went through 20 years of losing, not even breaking 500 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates' losing streak was almost old enough to buy beer. So I went through it, and I always loved the movie Major League, with Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, and you had their announcer, right? And in that movie, he's announcing for the Cleveland Indians, and they're terrible. They're the worst team in the league. So he comes up with ways to act like they're good. He'll be like, up next steps, Serrano. Serrano on Tuesdays, that's overcast after 4:15, is batting 7th in the league, coming up 3rd in the inning. And it's such a hyper-specific thing to make you sound good. The same could be done with the economy. You could parse it a million ways. So I will if I'm playing devil's advocate, I'm saying I don't like Trump and I'm trying to dispute his State of the Union. I could find quibbles with what he's saying and saying, well, actually, wait a minute. And when you looked at these fact checkers, I swear to you, the first 3-4 ones I saw was all stuff like this. Trump says that unemployment numbers are at record lows. Well, that's technically true. In reality, it was trending that way before he came in office. Okay, then it's not a lie. And the fact checkers do this all the time. I've said it on my live streams. They'll say, we give this a Pinocchio. While technically what Trump said was true, his intent or the story behind what he said, well, that's garbage. That's not what fact checkers are supposed to do. That's what biased people trying to make a political argument do, which is fine, but then don't call yourself a fact checker. So there was quibbles with, well, was the economy trending in a good way before Trump? And when he says that so many jobs are coming, are those full-time or part-time jobs? Things like that. He said that people's 401ks have gone up 60, 70, sometimes even 100%. But actually the average is only 47%. So he exaggerated those numbers a little. Okay. And I don't mind that sort of fact-checking. That's fine. But if that's your quibble, those sorts of numbers, Nancy Pelosi was infuriated because Trump inflated by 13% how much people's 401ks have gone up. That's what she's furious about. That was the lie. I could go back through Obama's State of the Union and do the same thing. She didn't rip it up then, did she? This fact-checking racket is total garbage. It just is. Joe Boo, right? Yeah, I'm glad someone's seen. Major League's a great movie if you haven't watched it. Fantastic. Milo's on here. Thanks, Milo. Duke, Max, 2Q. Patriot Hour's on here. Oh, yeah, you're the one talking about Joe Boo. So, yeah, 8 p.m. tonight, I'll be doing a show at the Patriot Hour. Just to let you know, Patriot Hour, I got off work early, or else we could have done this earlier. But I was supposed to get off work, then go pick up my brother. He got sick, so here I am. I figured I'd do an impromptu live stream here. No booze for me tonight, though. I got stuff to do tomorrow. But yeah, Lori, Benny, thank you all for being here. Richard? Thank you, Richard. Yeah, taking time away from Hannity to listen to me. He's probably better looking than me. Also, I don't throw a football at the end of my show. Here's what I'll say about Hannity. I thought that he endorsed a lot of garbage when it came to, like, Bush that was going on there. Even with Romney. I think he would regret the Romney stuff. But what have you done for me lately? And I'll say this, Hannity has been one of the boldest, most correct people when it comes to the corruption that we see with the coup against Trump. He has. And he has some of the best guests. Now, let's hope he maintains that anti-corruption and aspect and a lot of love. Yeah, fantastic person. I'll be doing Michael's show at 8. I was telling them, Patriot Hour, one of the things that the first video I saw of you, and you do this all the time, when you opened up and you said, don't listen to me, do your own research. That resonates so much with me because that's something I truly believe. It's someone, we are people that believe in free speech and we believe in dialogue and we'll listen to people that disagree with us. So we are totally comfortable saying we're not always right. We appreciate people disagreeing with us. You should never believe anyone, even me, even Patriot Hour. Even Trump, you shouldn't believe anyone just at face value. Do your own research. Now, I hope that I could put things in a perspective that's unique and maybe some things that you haven't heard before. That's great, but still don't just take my word for it. And when I heard the Patriot Hour say that, I was like, yes, that is exactly it. That is exactly the right attitude to have. Yeah, you're right, Don. Hannity's been spot on. Absolutely spot on. And he's given a platform to John Solomon and Sarah Carter, who are probably the two best journalists out there right now. You rarely see them on any other program. In fact, I got to do a live stream tomorrow at noon. Not got to. I will. It'll be my pleasure to do it. But I have a story from John Solomon. I'll save it for tomorrow. I'll give a little tease, though. Right? Let me bring it up for you. And I'll have plenty to say about it. So John Solomon, which you have to check out, he was at thehill.com. Now he's starting his own place called justthenews.com. Here is their tease. Russia witness told Team Mueller that Russia collusion evidence found in Ukraine was fabricated. So in my live stream tomorrow, we're going to spend a lot of time on this. What this is about is you've heard me talk over and over again about how Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election. You had a guy by the name of Lyshenko as a parliamentarian and the head of their FBI. It's called the NABU. This was formed with Obama sending State Department money and was an ally of Obama. The head of the NABU, Artem Sitnik, and this parliamentarian Lyshenko conspired to interfere in the 2016 election by releasing a black ledger. Now, we know this happened. It's just said, oh, it's been debunked. But one of the things people say is, oh, and by the way, Manafort, the black ledger was against Manafort, and Manafort was guilty. So who cares if the information they released was true? Wait a minute. The information that supposedly Russia released, which I don't believe it was Russia, to WikiLeaks, that evidence was all true. Nothing in WikiLeaks has been disputed. Yet I don't recall Jake Tapper saying, well, if all of it's true, then it wasn't really corrupt. So why is that relevant? And second, we now know, as that article will prove to you, that even the people releasing that, Lyshenko, even Rick Gates, who turned state's evidence against Manafort, all of them admit that black ledger was garbage. So not only did they interfere in the election by releasing evidence that resulted in an investigation into Manafort and Manafort having to step down, but the evidence was made up. It was a total lie. And yet we're still told to this day, how dare Donald Trump want to investigate that? Imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. Imagine if Russia parliamentarian and a person from Russia's Secret Service or their intel agency released dirt on Hillary Clinton that was a lie that resulted in Hillary Clinton having to fire her campaign manager and then resulted in an investigation into that campaign manager. The media and the Democrats would be going nuts. But when the shoe's on the other foot, they say, not only do we not have a problem with that, but if Trump wants to investigate that corruption, he needs to be impeached. In other words, bullshit, as Trump said. Let's see, check the chat here. I did see that video, Benny, and I will leave the Patriot Hour talk more about it than me because someone asked me about it last night, and I'm not familiar. Oh, no. I'm getting that messed up. I did not see the Patriot Hour's video on that, but I did see the video, right, where Elizabeth Warren's basically trying to hide herself, getting off a private jet. It's the same garbage hypocrisy we hear over and over from that crowd. No one's flown private more than Bernie Sanders, yet he's upset with your light bulbs. This is the socialist hoax. Everything they accuse you of doing, they actually do tenfold worse and then claim moral superiority. I've said this over and over. It's complicated. Well, it's not that complicated, actually, but it's long-winded. I'm just ranting now, so forgive me for just ranting. Dan Bongino, by the way, KTQ Jones, maybe the best person on this. Fantastic. And if you think I'm a passionate person and stuff, Dan Bongino has that as well. Passionate, former Secret Service person, puts his money where his mouth is. He's been against this corruption the entire time. You watch his show every day. If you don't watch it, he's got some great information out there. So, yeah, that's a great person to follow as well. 1157. I've probably listened to it, but yeah, I'll check it out. Here's the deal with Elizabeth Warren with that. So the idea is this. She gets off a private jet, but she doesn't want to be filmed getting off a private jet because that goes against her climate change, we're all dead in 10 years narrative, right? Same with Bernie Sanders and all of that crowd. Victor David Hansen, who's another person you should follow. He's a historian and political voice. He's often on Tucker Carlson, but you can YouTube his YouTube his videos. Victor David Hansen, he is phenomenal. He's the exact opposite of me. a well-learned man, and he's kind of stoic, but it's very good stuff. He doesn't have to raise his voice and he almost has a monotone. I would love to talk to him on the show, and that's something that I'll be reaching out trying to get. Fantastic person, Victor David Hanson. But he talks about this with socialism. I steal this line from him. He says, the Democrat and the socialist will never have the misfortune of living in the utopias they prescribe for you. In other words, they say, give us all this power, leave us control this area, leave us control this city, this state, this country, and it will be a utopia. Oh, we're going to live outside of it, though. The rules we set down for you won't apply to us. We'll tell you that the light bulbs you're using or the car you're driving trying to get back and forth from work, it's bad for the environment and you need to make sacrifices. Meanwhile, we'll fly on our private jets. We'll have our third lake houses. We'll drive sports cars. You see how that works? It's every single issue. We think that we should have open borders and compassion and allow these illegal immigrants in. Of course, I own 4 homes, and I won't just give 3 of them up so the legal immigrants have a place to stay. And I don't want them coming in my gated community with armed guards. Oh, by the way, speaking of armed guards, I should be allowed to have all the armed guards I want, but no guns for you. You shouldn't be allowed to protect yourself. And people talk about this in concepts of morality. So take healthcare. They say it is immoral for us to not give everyone healthcare. Healthcare should be a human right. I got news for you. Healthcare isn't a human right. You want to know how I know this? Think of the things that we consider human rights that the government should intervene for, right? Water. I'm with you. If you're a legal citizen of the United States, there is no excuse for you not to have access to clean water. That's why I don't care what party you're blaming in Flint, why it's so disgusting what happened there. I don't care who's getting blame or who's getting credit for fixing it. Fix it. It's unreal. With the amount of tax dollars that go into all the cities, states, and our federal government, that there are people that don't have clean drinking water, it's an outrage. But okay, I'll give you water. Food, fire, fair enough. Can't live without food. Even shelter, we'll say. Okay. Education, yeah. But we'll say, okay, grade school and stuff. Healthcare. Here's how I know it's different. Okay? Let's say that you don't have food. Would you buy a 64-inch TV? Would you buy a new PlayStation or a new computer if you don't have food? I guarantee you wouldn't. You would get food because you're starving to death. What about if you didn't have water? Would you get season tickets to a sporting event? Would you go on a cruise? No, you'd be getting clean water. If you don't have food, a shelter over your head, would you buy an airplane ticket to go somewhere? No. Healthcare. Do you know how many people I know, my family included, that have trouble paying medical bills, getting medical care? Yet they have 3 PlayStation, an Xbox, a computer, huge, multiple big screen TVs, season tickets to certain sporting events, going to the movies all the time, going to vacation, going out on the weekends having fun. Why is that? Isn't that different than if you didn't have food or if you didn't have water? You chose to spend your money frivolously. Now that's sad and that sucks. And I understand some people are in that position. Some people legitimately lost everything they had and they need access to healthcare. But we lose sight, and I'm not saying we shouldn't struggle or strive to help the poor. I'm not saying that at all. But we don't look at things proportionally. One of the biggest problems we have with poverty in this country is obesity. Do you think that's been a problem with poverty throughout the history of the world? Do you think in sub-Saharan Africa, the problem with poverty is people are eating too much? No. And so to radically change the system and say, oh, we need socialism. Government has to control everything. That's because people are leading with the false narrative that things are as bad as they could get right now. We have nowhere to go but up. That's not true. We got a long way to go down. Thank you, Duke. Normal America. Yeah, drugs, another big problem, Richard. So, I don't mind having policy differences when talking about the strategic benefit or what will help the country. But one of the things that really peeves me is when people couch it in morality. This is something you heard Trump saying today. Look, you want to be corrupt? You want to have a coup to go after the president? Fine. Don't bring prayer into it, okay? Don't bring morality into it like somehow you're more moral. That's garbage. Like I started the show saying, it's inauthentic, fakeness, garbage. That's exactly what it is. And it grates on normal Americans. Regardless if you're left, right, or anywhere in between. You just want people that are being honest with you. And not honest in, oh, well, he lied and said his crowd size was bigger than it was. That's not a good lie, but that's not the end of the world. But honest is in authentic. This is who this person really is. I would rather hang out with an authentic person that I didn't like than a fake person that it seemed like I like. But bringing morality into things, I don't know how many times I've had this argument with people, particularly on healthcare, back during Obamacare days. And remember, I'm a college student back then. And I'm talking to all my poor college friends. I mean, for God's sakes, we were drinking Keystone Ice and Milwaukee's Best. I went through a winter where I didn't have electricity for a month, but it was okay because it was snowing out here in Western Pennsylvania. And so I would just buy a case of Keystone Ice and keep it on the porch. It acted as my refrigerator. Who needed lights? Then we had a little shortwave radio and would listen to Coast to Coast or, whatever. It was great. It was a great time of my life. But I was broke as a joke. And so during this time, I'm talking to other broke people, and they're like, free healthcare, that's great. No, it's not free. And I've explained why that was the case back then. But they would start to talk in terms of morality. Well, morally, we have to give everyone healthcare. And I was like, look, dude, you're not moral because you want to take money from group person A and give it to person B. That does not make you moral. If there was a claim of morality, it would be you're taking your own money voluntarily and giving it to the person. Then maybe you could make an argument. That's a moral decision. But you forcing another person to give someone money that you feel deserves the money more is not morality. That's the opposite of a moral decision. Now, you could say, but that's best for the country. Fair enough, we could have that discussion. We could talk facts and things. But that's not a matter of morality. That's why I say, I'd be willing to listen to Bernie Sanders or George Clooney or Leo DiCaprio or Nancy Pelosi or Elizabeth Warren. Here's how I'll listen to them. How much money do you really need a year to live? I'll tell you this much. I made more money last year than I have my entire life. As a family unit, as married without kids. That number came well below $100,000 a year. Well below. But I live pretty comfortably. I'm not missing many meals. I don't know if you can tell. So how much do you really need? $100,000 a year? You'd live comfortably off $100,000 a year? Okay, let's say $200,000. Let's say you and your spouse, $200,000. For each kid, another $100,000. That's living at home. So if you're George Clooney or you're Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, whatever, any of these moral preeners, how about this? All the money you made over that amount, $200,000, $300,000, you take all that money and you give it to people so they could get health care. Or you give it to people to have shelter for illegal immigrants. And then I'm willing to talk to you about how moral you are. Until then, shut your mouth. You're a grifter. You're just someone who wants to have faux morality and claim that you care about the poor, but you're taking every tax break you can get, aren't you? And we see that with Bernie. Why would I try? And this is another thing that aggravates the crap out of me about socialism. You're talking about giving these people massive power. It's people that won't even live under the restrictions that they're requiring of you. Remember AOC? They asked her like, hey, why don't you take the subway? Reduce your carbon footprint when you're going to work every day. Why don't you take the subway? Oh, well, it's inconvenient for me. And that's not what's important. That's what they all say. Constantly, that's what they say. Well, I'm just one person. I'm trying to have policies for the whole country. So it's not fair to judge me as one person. Yes, that's the only thing that's fair to judge you on. Not your words. Words are cheap. Your actions. That's what we'll judge you on. So if you're claiming to be morally superior because climate change is going to kill us all in 10 years, but it's too inconvenient for you to take the bus, shut your mouth. You clearly don't believe the garbage you're preaching. And why would I then trust you to have total control over these government agencies? Because it's not like me. If you elect me president, hopefully someday, though my wife's really set on being the second lady, so she just wants me to be vice president, but If you elect me, I will say I want less power, less centralized power. I want more federalism, more things controlled at the local level. The number one decider in your life should be the family unit, followed by your local, like your community, followed by your local government, followed by your state government, and then finally the federal government. Yes, there are things that the forefathers understood had to be in the control of the federal government. One of the most important is the power to print and coin your own money, which we no longer do in the federal government. Instead, we borrow from a private bank called the Federal Reserve. So right out of the gate, one of the most important things that the federal government's supposed to do, they don't even do anymore. Controlling the border, yes. National defense, yes. That stuff's all the realm of the federal government. But all this other crap, ridiculous. And now the Green New Deal is going to take total control of our energy sector, almost total control over our economy, total control over our healthcare system. It's going to have racially motivated justice and payments. What the heck does that even mean? It's going to pay people that don't feel like working? Unreal. Yeah, Ike. I like Ike. Good job, No Name Bastard. I agree. You want to watch a show that will just blow your mind and disappoint me? I'm a sucker for, even though she's came out and supported Bloomberg, Judge Judy. Love watching Judge Judy. Judge Judy, if you watch with a careful eye, says a lot of things without saying it. One of the things that she says all the time, she'll always ask people, even if it's most of the time not relevant to the case, what do you do for a living? What's your job? It is unbelievable how many people are like, well, I get supported. I get government support. I'm on disability. Now, look, some people are probably legitimately on disabilities. Don't get me wrong. But the sheer number of people on the show, and it's like, what are you suing for? Oh, this motorcycle. I bought this $7,000 Harley. You're on disability? People are supporting you? You're on welfare and you're buying this stuff? I live paycheck to paycheck, man. I need a wheel bearing, for God's sakes, in my car. My wife's car needs new brake line in it. I'm not complaining. Life goes on. I'll get it done. I'll work more hours if I have to. I'm working 80, 90 hours a week. You know, but I'm happy. I'm doing good. But when you just see, it's like, wow. A country can't survive. Look, a person is good. I get this from Men in Black, right? At the beginning of the original Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones said, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it. That's true. As a group, on the average, people can do some really crappy, dumb things. An individual person, you give the respect of, I'm going to give you respect and assume good intentions. If you incentivize not working, if you incentivize stay home, we'll give you money, don't have to go out and work hard, what do you think's going to happen? Yes, you'll have specific individuals that say, that's not for me. I'm going to go out and work anyways. But you're going to have a lot of people that are like, okay, I'll stay home. Fluid Poor Patriot, you can do my wheel bearing. It's just a matter of buying it because actually my father-in-law is going to do it for me. So just to give you a little bit about me, I'll tell you a little about my life here now that I'm done ranting. I'm going to have to leave abruptly. As soon as my wife gets here, she yelled at me one time. She's like, you know, it'd be nice. I haven't seen you for 4 days. I get home from work and you're ranting to your internet friends. So I don't want to start the weekend out on a bad note. But here's a little about me. So my wife has a sister who's now 22, and my wife's 30, so 8 years apart. When I first met her family, her sister was 14, and they were putting molding up on the wall, like in their kitchen and dining room wall. And so her dad's like, hey, Rob, you run the nail gun. And just like little 8-penny nails. Run the nail gun, put this molding up. And, you know, I'm brand new. Hey, it's the second time I ever met him. Okay. I struggle and struggle and struggle. And so he's just like, yeah, why don't you give the gun over to your wife's sister there, who's 14? Here, you can hold the nails. And that's perpetually been my job ever since. I'm the person that's like, oh, I'll hold those screws. Can I get you a drink? Someone needs to run out and grab some more nails. I can do that. I'm pretty crappy at that type of stuff, but I'm lucky. I have people all around me that are good at that stuff. So, but yeah, that's I'm ranting here about socialism and stuff. So I'm going to have to go here soon. Also, I'm going to be on the Patriot Hour show later tonight, 8 p.m. So I know a lot of you, maybe came to me from the Patriot Hour. So I'm extremely thankful to him for that. But if there's a chance that you haven't subscribed to his channel, please check it out and check that live stream out. I think that it's fantastic. And I think we have a really good banter. I don't know if he's still on here, but last time we were going to talk about impeachment, we ended up talking about Oklahoma City and Waco and 9/11. So, I mean, who knows what we'll end up talking about, but it's great to talk to new people and just get different perspectives on things. So I think you guys will really like that. So, just to finish up here today, CNN fact checkers, garbage, socialism, garbage, bunch of hypocrites that prescribe crap for you that they're unwilling to do themselves. You should never trust anyone who's telling you that they're morally superior to you for decisions you made when they're making the same mistakes that they're accusing you of. And that's basically what our establishment political class does. And last but not least, kudos to Trump for coming out like a boss today and calling it what it was. And I hope he maintains that tact and continues to go after. Don't just say Schiff's corrupt. Investigate. Charge him with crimes. Charge Comey. Charge Brennan. All Patriot Hour crap. I'll put the headphones on. Go ahead, man, if you want to call in. Though I have to warn you if my wife comes. Go ahead and call Patriot Hour. I guess I can call you Michael. Everybody knows your name is Michael, so. Thank you, DJ, for reminding me that I'm not wearing headphones. We'll see if Michael calls back in, but what a boss! Calling it out today as he should. And so I hope that he sticks with that. And remember, on the small chance that Trump or someone close to him is watching this, we voted for you, Trump. We voted for your gut feeling, not for some advisor. You do what you know is best. So, all right, we're getting a call. Let's hope it's Michael.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, you there?
It's the Patriot Hour. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for calling in.
Oh, yeah. No, it's funny because it didn't answer the first time. Then I went back to the video, and I was behind, I guess, so I'm sitting there listening. I hear my own call come in. But
I didn't have my headphones.
Anyway, gotcha. No, I wanted to throw you this, and I won't. I know you're getting ready to go. Your wife's coming, and we're going to do our show later. But your thoughts on this, and there was a couple people in your comments, not calling anybody out, and they weren't saying anything bad, but they said the impeachment's over. It's like a moot point. But I had brought up in your chatting down there, it's a kind of an interesting thing. I know we got into it the other day a little bit on it, but the legality of the articles. Mm-hmm. How important is that moving forward? Because, like, you'd think you'd have to file stuff right, and I don't know if there's any oversight down there in the House. It didn't seem like there was when they kind of raced through it. Anyone can be sued and go to court, and you could win, and then you leave court, and you have always gone to court. You might always had spent some money, but you win, but you might have that stain on you of just going to court. But for impeachment, it seems like if the Supreme Court, because you have the three checks and balances, right. And for the impeachment, you really only play with the two. In a way, they bring the Supreme Court judges in and they reside over the case, but we see really what they don't or don't do. It comes down to like a vote or something. They might have a say in it. So your thoughts on that? If it didn't go into one of the framework of what impeachment takes to be written up for, and even though it went through the process, if they get the Supreme Court judges to look at that and they could rule that it was never done right in the first place.
Yeah, Dershowitz.
That's very real. People don't get that.
Right.
Like that's no. It's no matter what, you could put in anything, and then you go to court for it, and he got he was acquitted. So there it is.
Right.
I don't know. So what do you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thought. I know Dershowitz has came out and said that under his interpretation and what he thinks is the constitutionally accurate interpretation, that the acquittal means that if this was to go to a court, it means that Trump was never impeached, period. That's what the acquittal means.
Yes.
And I kind of lean towards that interpretation. But that would also mean that Bill Clinton was never impeached or Johnson was never impeached.
Yeah. And you always hear, I just got into it today on social media. Somebody said, Bill Clinton got a, BJ, and that he was impeached for that. And I'm like, no, he was impeached for being in front of a grand jury over the Paula Jones, I think it was Paula Jones, for the rape charge. And while he was in the middle of that whole grand jury, and 2-year investigation, by the way, they did it lengthy and long. It wasn't like the Trump one, 2 weeks, So 2 years later, they bring him into a grand jury, and while he's in there going over Paula Jones stuff, the Monica Lewinsky story breaks. Right. So they throw him some wild questions that he wasn't prepared for, and then Bill lied. So he got caught with lying to the grand jury, and then what does lying lead to? You're obstructing their investigation. So they hit him up with the 2 charges.
Right. That's exactly.
And that is real crime. See, people are like, nah, it still is over a BJ. But I'm like, go ahead and lie to the FBI about anything if they come knock on your door. It doesn't matter. Look at the people that went down by Trump for lying, right? It wasn't nothing to do with Russia stuff. It was like that was their, they're at the end of the 2-year thing. They weren't going to come out empty-handed. They were going to, oh, you lied to us. Look how they got Flynn, like little weird things. Nobody even thought he lied, but they were going to get you anyway. So yeah, I mean, all that exists.
And if you look, you also look at the Clinton impeachment. Remember, it started off over Whitewater. It wasn't even sexual crimes that started the FBI investigation into Clinton. And then as they were investigating, they started to find all this other stuff. He lied in front of a grand jury. Now, there's a question as to whether or not that warrants removal from office anyways, which I'm willing to listen to. Maybe it didn't. And as a cultural thing, even though this wasn't what he was impeached over, I could care less with who Bill Clinton slept with as long as it was consensual. Now, the terrible thing was they never brought up the case of Juanita Broderick, there are very serious, credible contemporaneous allegations that he actually raped her, which is different than the Monica Lewinsky. I could care less about Monica Lewinsky. But the fact that it's conflated with what Trump did, and it just goes to show how disingenuous these people are, because on one hand, you look at the entire Mueller investigation with Trump. They exonerated him of anything having to do with interfering in the 2016 election. Yet they say he obstructed justice. Why? Well, because he had a few mean tweets and he thought about firing Mueller, even though he didn't. But on the other hand, Bill Clinton legitimately lying to a grand jury, legitimately, like provably, he admitted to lying. They say, oh, no, that's no.
And he was acquitted.
Right.
So Bill Clinton was acquitted for actual crimes that he committed. And Trump was acquitted for crimes he didn't
exactly commit. That's exactly the difference.
See what I'm saying? Now I just said it there for the first time. I couldn't even believe I got that out like that. I never.
Perfect.
So right there is the difference. So there's something there, I think. And I'm not, this could be historical. Say, well, we don't have any other thing. We only have 3 impeachments in our lifetime, or what, 3 or 4 to look at. But this is different. It's not all the same. So there's that little aspect. That was a good point. I'll leave you with that because I know you got to get going. We got a show tonight. I got to get ready for that. So I'm signing off.
Yeah, we'll see
Rob,
you at 8.
You do a great job.
Thank you. Your stuff's been awesome.
Everyone check in.
Yep, and I'll make sure I put your
you guys check in.
put your channel out there. So thanks so much. We'll see you at 8.
Right on, brother. Talk to you later.
So that's Michael at the Patriot Hour. It's fantastic. Let me get his channel up here and send it to you. But it's a great point, the point he's making. And yes, Milo, I saw you did talk to me about the legality of that earlier, it is a great point, which is there technically a crime? Has he technically been impeached? And the distinction that the Patriot Hour makes there, that's great. He worded it better than I could, which is Trump was acquitted for crimes of which he didn't commit. Bill Clinton was committed for crimes of which he did commit. And that's not just hyperbolic or me because I like Trump and don't like Clinton. Bill Clinton admitted to lying. It's admitted. Now, again, the question is, I still think there is an argument to make in the case of Bill Clinton that lying about sexual relations, even in front of a grand jury, does that warrant removal? I don't know. Maybe not. I would lean towards no, despite the fact it's serious to lie to the FBI. I think that, I just don't know. But certainly he committed the underlying crime. And certainly that's a form of obstructing justice. Now, all the Democrats at the time, they knew it was admitted by Bill Clinton that he lied. But they acquitted him. So in effect, what they said was, yes, he committed the crime, but it didn't rise to the offense worthy of removal. Okay, that is not the case with Donald Trump. The acquittal of Donald Trump is he did not commit the underlying crimes, which was obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. He did not commit those. And so it is historically different. Now, the sad truth is history is written by the winners. And so we'll have to see whether or not Trump could win. Trump could start to throw these people in jail, or at least he can't throw them in jail. Don't get me wrong. But he could have them charged. Right, Milo, there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of the Clinton impeachment. Whitewater was the start of it. You go back, like, there was tons of scandals going on. There was this crazy scandal that had to do with visitors to the White House, and it was basically Hillary Clinton again. Hillary Clinton was accused over and over again in the course of that investigation of being a blatant liar, of being crooked, of being corrupt, of accepting things for personal benefit and wealth. Then there was the whole Whitewater scandal. All of these crimes when he was governor of Arkansas. That's what the investigation was originally over. Then there's the big story of the CIA running drugs through Arkansas while Clinton was the governor there, which kind of gave him the inside track to become a presidential candidate in the first place. So certainly there's a lot to dig into as to what the impeachment was about of Clinton. But the provable thing that they could prove, and understand this, a lot of times impeachment's a political process, right? And so they need to convince like the average American, this is why this person needs to be removed. And so lying to Congress, lying to investigators, that's real simple. It's perjury. Everybody knows what that crime is. Okay, committed a crime. Is it to the level of removal? That's the debate. But yeah. Right, Lori. I hear you. You can swear all you want. So, all right, my wife's coming home, so I have to hurry up and get off here. So, 8 o'clock, I'll be on the Patriot Hour. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Check out my link where you could follow me on DLive, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You can support me on PayPal or Patreon if you like. If you don't, you're a Russian. Patriot Hour is fantastic. I'll be on that show at 8, so check it out tonight. And thank you so much, and have a good one.